So what's going on, everybody? This is Mario Brown. I hope you're doing well. It's been a long time since I've done a video, but I wanted to do one today because I want to speak to those of you who may be secretly and silently suffering mental anguish because you don't have anybody to talk to, or you feel that having to talk to somebody, a counselor, a therapist, a life coach, somehow puts this stigma on you. That's the wrong perspective all day long and twice on Sundays. We all need somebody to talk to, and we need a safe space created that we can be totally honest about where we are. But in my life coaching practice, what I find is that it's so hard for people to even keep an appointment because they're battling the stigma that says if I say I'm not good mentally or emotionally, I'm somehow weak. I work with entrepreneurs as a life balance engineer, where I teach people how to care for themselves and not sacrifice themselves trying to build a brand. What I find is people feel somehow it's weak. Now, they'll get a business coach, but not one that deals with them personally, because we have this stigma, particularly African Americans. That's my heavier population, where we've been taught from slavery how to endure silently, how to suffer silently. That's an act of slavery. It comes and it's been birthed out of slavery, where your children were taken from you. You were beat, you were maimed, you were lynched, and you had to suffer silently, no matter how you were treated. And so now this stigma is attached to us that if I say I am not good mentally, particularly men, we'll suffer in silence. We won't tell anybody what's going on because we're expected to be so strong. Women are doing the same thing because we don't like the stigma. Now, here's my thing. You're not crazy for seeking out therapy and counseling because you need to talk your deliverance out. You need to share your experience. You're not crazy for that. What's really crazy is knowing you need to talk and you don't. As a life coach practitioner, I see so many people that'll say to me, Mario, I need to talk, I need to make an appointment. And then when it's time to make an appointment, I say, go to my website, book an appointment. It's a free consultation. They won't even show up. You know why? And I recognize this. I'm not offended by it because I understand what it is. What it is that you're fighting the stigma attached to saying, I must open up and deal with my pain. I got to deal with where I am, but everybody expects me to be the person that I give them every day, which is I got it together. I don't need help. I'm strong. I got all the answers. But mentally, you're broken. Emotionally, you're broken. And you won't even seek the help to say, let me talk it out so it won't take me out. That's what you got to do. You got to say, I got to talk it out so this thing will not take me out. That's the critical piece. I give free consultations and some people aren't able to take them or unwilling to take them because it means I must uncover. I must admit where I am. I've got to talk this thing out. But my thing is, what's wrong with that? I deal particularly with a bunch of entrepreneurs, and they're trying to build brands broken. You're trying to build a brand fractured. You're trying to build a brand angry. You're trying to build a brand with unresolved issues, and they are literally killing you, and it's being transferred over into your brand, and you're wondering why your brand ain't working. Because it's coming from a dark, sunken place, because you will not seek out the help to say, let me get my unresolved issues taken care of. So this is why I'm encouraging you today to move past the stigma and stop feeling like it's a weakness to need somebody to talk to need somebody to say, listen, I'm not in a good place. I need to talk. So you don't want to end up like Kanye. That's what you don't want to do. All right. You look at Kanye, out of that dark, sunken place, he created grave clothes. Those little grave clothes, those clothes Kanye made look like the clothes that Lazarus wore when he was in the grave, that Jesus told them to take off his grave clothes. Those were grave clothes, and they came out of a dark, sunken place. Hear me. You don't want to work like that. So what I'm telling you is move beyond the stigma and don't let anybody tell you that you're weak for seeking this out. So I believe that if you can talk out some of those things that are bothering you, that have you stuck, I believe that you can build a better brand. I believe you owe that to yourself. I honestly believe that you owe that much to yourself to be able to invest. It's amazing to me that people will invest in logos. They'll invest in business coaches and classes, and you'll go take this class and that class, but you will not invest in the thing that says, let me take care of me. Let me deal with me. Let me invest. If you do not have that plan in place, you're headed for failure. I say that very boldly. If you do not put a plan in place that addresses your unresolved issues, that's the stuff that when you put down your papers, when you move away from the business coaching, this is the thing that you got to go home and wrestle with. If you do not have a plan in place to say, this is about me, you're headed for failure. You don't have to suffer silently when you need to drop the pride, drop the stigma, and say, I got to reach out to someone who, number one, culturally understands me. Number two, they're doing what they've been put in the earth to do, and that is to help me overcome all of these things that have held me up over the years. These emotional breakdowns that you have. As men, I said before, we suffer silently. We won't say anything. We don't want to look weak. But it makes you look weaker when you start trying to create out of that brokenness. You never want to create out of a place of brokenness. You got to be whole so that your brand will be whole. That's why I tell people you're not your brand. People argue with me all the time about that. They try to argue. I don't argue about it, because at the end of the day, if your brand fails, where does that leave you? Where does that leave you? See, that's a thought you got to process. You create a brand, but you're not the brand, because particularly when your brand requires people to accept it, buy it, embrace it, share it. If it's dependent upon public opinion, that could go either way. So if they decide they don't like your brand, or they don't like what you're producing, and you're saying, I'm my brand, then where does that leave you? It leaves you broken, disgusted, busted, and you need to get that in your spirit. You got to get that in your spirit. So today, I'm encouraging you to stop suffering silently. Get you some help. You can reach me at www.mariocbrown.org. I have a free consultation. You can make an appointment. Whatever's good for you, you can click that link. It'll put you right into my scheduler. You will get a link. We can have that consultation. It's free. It's free. So don't let it be said that you need some help and there was some free help given and you didn't take it. Don't let that be said. Don't let that be named among you. All right. I hope you're having a great day. Have a great weekend as well. But stop suffering silently. Talk to you soon.